of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen.
Please be seated. Today in the Gospel, Jesus says, be on your guards against all kinds of greed. And we have this great passage for talking about greed, for there is a rich man who in his greed has amassed so much grain and so many possessions that he has to tear down the buildings that he has to hold everything. And I love to preach on greed and the evils of having too much in a world where so many have too little. And I love a message from the pulpit that reminds us that one of the basic tenets of our faith is that the rich will be sent away empty and the poor will be filled. And that Jesus says that wealth is a stumbling block, and that Jesus pronounces a woe. Jesus throws a woe to the rich. And that Jesus says in the parable of Lazarus that the rich are beyond hope. It's great stuff. But I've come to realize that on any given Sunday here at the Cathedral, or most of the places where I'm preaching, I'm not talking to the super rich, like the guy in the parable who has so much that he has to build a new barn. I'm talking to us folks who are just keeping our barns afloat. We're trying to patch up what we have. We're trying to make sure the roof of the barn isn't going to cave in on us. We're trying to make sure that our barns have enough to get us through the long winter that's coming. And the idea of building a new barn, well, that's just a pipe dream. So in terms of the incredibly wealthy and the incredibly greedy, I don't think they're here this morning. I don't know if they're at church this morning. I don't know where they are. They're 1% church, wherever that is. And I think most of us are just trying to get by and understand what we have. And so perhaps it's not wealth, but isn't it true that, like in the parable, our souls are often asleep? I think that's kind of the heart of the parable. I remember being at a little church where I first served in ministry 20 years ago in Honduras. And the scripture one morning was one of these passages where Jesus is talking about wealth. And so I arrived at the church in the morning. I got my sermon all prepared to talk about the perils of being rich and the spiritual damage that comes from having too much wealth. And I was just getting to know the community. And I got there that morning and I was looking at them and I was thinking, no, this sermon isn't going to work. For these people had nothing. I mean, they literally had nothing. They had the clothes they were wearing. They had the beds inside the little houses where they slept, which they didn't even own. They had perhaps a chicken or two that ran in and out of the house, and they had a little bit of food. But I looked around and I thought, well, who am I to preach on wealth? I've got everything. They should be preaching to me. And I realized that my soul, and I've realized this again, my soul is asleep. My soul is asleep to the problems of the rest of the world. My soul is asleep to real poverty and real suffering. Who should be preaching about wealth but the souls whose lives are given not to their material possessions or to their physical comfort based on what they have, but given to the day-by-day struggle to live according to what God provides. These Hondurans. I learned a lot from them, and I want to share details. I've talked about them in the past, but this church where I worked was called St. Peter's by the River, San Pedro Cerca del Rio, and it was in Tegucigalpa, right in the shadow of the town's largest trash dump. And the dump was up the hill and across the way, and day after day, the people of the city would bring and haul, they'd carry their trash to this dump, and the folks who lived in my church, my parishioners, would receive gifts from the dump. They would burn the trash so the noxious fumes would come down the hill into their homes. They would bury the trash, and after years of burying trash, what little water came out of their wells was green and yellow and smelled like death. And things from the trash would just blow down the hill and end up in their houses. Many of the enterprising members of our community benefited from the dump. They would collect carton and cardboard and tin and glass, and they would bundle it up and resell it. They would make art out of the proceeds of the dump. They would take the nice things that the rich people in the city threw out and clean them up and bring them back and sell them to the same rich people who threw them out in the first place. Oh, that's a nice brooch. That looks just like a brooch we used to have. It was an amazing community, and they preached to me about wealth. Every time I visited them in their homes, they preached about wealth. Whenever I saw the little houses and the chickens running in and out on the dirt floors, they preached about wealth. When I saw how their children suffered with things that we could easily take care of here, they preached about wealth. And they preached to me about the struggle. And I got to understand why people want to come to the United States. Because they knew, even though most of them knew they wouldn't make it here, they knew that they could work and work and work and work and never get ahead. And I realized that they have a different sense of the soul than I have, than most of us have. The soul and the struggle of the soul. And they preached to me about the soul. So today in the gospel, this man says to his soul, well, my friend, honey, my soul, we have enough. We've done all we can, so let's just rest, and you can fall asleep for your work is done. He gives permission to his soul to fall asleep. And I think in general, if your soul is asleep, you're kind of halfway to death, which is part of what the gospel tells us. That in the night, as his soul is asleep, God comes and plucks him away, and he's dead. Now, for many of us, it's not our wealth, it's not our greed, but it's our comfort. It's our comfort. Our souls, just like some of you, when I preach a long sermon, they just kind of get drowsy. They're not perhaps fully asleep, they're not sleeping in the back row, but they're sleepy, they're drowsy, and they've been told you can rest because you are okay. Even though they're starving, even though there's a mass shooting, even though there's war in some part of the world, we're okay. Let's just rest and we'll sleep. And I think that's how so many of us live, going day by day with these things that we do. Our soul's not involved, they're passionate, we're up in arms about what's going on, but just moving forward as we march in our progress of our days. I think in some ways that's how the disciples lived. They were happy fishing, they struggled, but there they were day after day, casting their nets until the Lord came and called them. And that's how St. Francis lived, up in his tower, looking over Assisi, a rich young man, a ruler, day after day content until the Lord came and called him. And that's how Oscar Romero lived in El Salvador, placed as the bishop of this community to keep the peace until he saw the injustice that we helped to promote. He saw that the insecurity of his country, and the Lord called him. And when that happens, something happens. Yet it's how countless of us live, dozing, perhaps not with huge $1,000,000 barns, but enough contentment, enough satisfaction, and enough that we can convince ourselves that our souls are pretty complete. But those Hondurans with whom I served knew that their souls would never be completed by what they had, by their material possessions, or by their goods. It just wasn't going to happen. It's like me, I'm never going to be 6 feet tall, no matter how I try. It just ain't going to happen. And so while many of us have directed our soul's work and have to the comfort of the material world around us, and we're slumbering safely in the American dream, the Hondurans were forced to direct their lives to God. And I wouldn't say that the Hondurans live lives that are particularly enviable, given the way they struggle on a day-by-day basis and they suffer, but I would say that I envy their faith. I envy the ability to live by God. To wake up in the morning and know that God will give you your daily bread, because you can work and work and work and work, and maybe you'll just get by, but then suddenly one day something blows in from the trash dump into your front yard, and you've got what you need for that day. God provides. What is it really like to direct our souls to God? What is the first thing we must do? Well, I think we have to begin by looking and doing a searching and fearless moral inventory and kind of say, well, soul of mine, are you awake or are you asleep? And maybe it's been some time since you were awake and out there doing the business of the world. And the soul's business is feeling the suffering of the poor and listening to the cries of those who are weeping, and mourning with those whose families have been killed by guns once again in our country, and being knocked about by what's going on out there. And perhaps if our souls aren't bothered by what's going on out there, they are a little bit asleep. But then there's so much more for the soul too. There's so much more. For the work of the soul is not just to suffer, but it's to attain joy. To work with God, to create meaning, and find God's meaning and purpose, and touch the places in life where God is just waiting to be touched. and to connect with people, and to build people up, and to rejoice in humanity, and to sing. It's amazing, the Hondurans, when you've got no electricity and TV, how much time you spend just singing. And your soul is pretty awake to the stars in the sky above, and to the people around you, and to the preciousness of life, and to the beauty of this moment. You develop a sense of how beautiful and precious things are when your soul is awake. Not to your possessions or your goods or your clothes or your comfort, but awake to life in God. When was the last time your soul, and I hope it was not that long ago, when was the last time your soul was awake to the preciousness of life? Not the sorrow. That's easy to do. It's easy to turn on the news and be awake to the sorrow. When was the last time our souls were awake to the preciousness of life? When did they last know how God is calling them, how God is loving them, how God has fed them and clothed them with those things we have in our barns back home? Awake even to the chaotic and sometimes difficult mess that our lives are. And awake to the fact that we can rejoice that we have all that we have, these friends that we have, the families, the world out there in which we are invited to let our souls and let God's presence and let God's business be known. That there's a path to our life. That there's a push to our life. It's not just random stuff, but that our souls have been called